G'day, this is Brian Whitten and ETR. This is part 3 of a video sequence I put up about realisations that I'd come to in the last week or two, which is why they've sort of come up in a little bit of a haphazard method. Before I get started, I would like to say if you're under 16 years of age, it would be probably pertinent to go and get, or better I should say, if you're under 16 years of age, it would probably pay to go and get your mum and dad to have a watch of this video with you, because we do cross on some matters that are really quite concerning and could upset a few people, so that'd be the situation. What we're looking at here is wave rock in Western Australia, and what I want to do in this video is discuss why our transition in our tides from what we have today goes to this each and every morning on the east coast of Australia. And the transition in tide, as I spoke on in my other videos, is actually incorrect. The transition in tide to this tidal movement is about that long, and we'll sit and I will show you where we get the timing for that, and it is displayed in the Serapeum, and it is to scale, so we can actually work out exactly how long it takes for the sun to grasp the tide of our planet, and I'll show you how to work that out. So I want to make this video short, and at the end of it I will also hope you spent, I did upload another video, part 2, just only today, it's uploaded this morning. I did purposely leave this bit out, but I wanted to make this a shorter video and get straight to the point. Now we've got the Serapeum image up again. I've left the lesser galleries off here. We know and have discussed that that was in actual fact the part that told us about the way the planet's plane was knocked around the bottom of the sun. I didn't want to talk about that because we want to talk about the tides. We know from the distance, being 10 degrees on the Earth's surface when the axis was tilted, that this is therefore representative of the 10 degrees, and therefore we know exactly what it was. It was 1,063 kilometres. It's exactly, you know, without doubt, that's what the Earth measures, so we know our distance. We know from 0 to 24 degrees that it's a 24 degrees tilt on the axis here that we hold for the 6,000 years of the cycle. The movement back in, we are taught, is 150 years from here to here. That's from 24 degrees back to 8 in 150 years. We've gone over that. I don't want to talk about that. What we're talking about now is the speed of the tidal change, and that is driven by the following method. And this little bit here, that's the smallest part of this picture. I'll tell you, it is not the best part. I understand exactly what we see when we see this, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll do an insert now, right, of the media impact site, right? Now that's the one that's driven the planet upwards. Now we come back to the diagram. We've driven the planet upwards, but the maximum, that's the biggest comet of the lot. It's 3 times the size of the one that drives the planet down. The maximum speed, and it's got 15 minutes it is between that and the second comet. Right? 15 minutes, I'll show you where, we know where we get that from, that 15 minutes, and depiction is the timing in the cross section of the pyramid. We've gone through that. The 15 minutes it takes, it only goes this far. And to scale, well, that's no more than 100 kilometres. That means that when it first got jolted, it couldn't move, and therefore that's what's made the planet axis start to tilt. It actually couldn't go up. It was the plane of the sun and the tilt on the planet that started and had to actually happen. I've said that to you before, that the T2 event could not happen until such time as the planet had its plane pulled out of the sun's plane. And that is what you're seeing happen here. Right, so, and the important part there is the 100 kilometres. Because if the planet could only be propelled 100 kilometres upwards with a big, massive comet of all on the bottom, so the point it should have fired, it didn't fire up like, or fired down like that one did, because it was in the plane of the sun. We can work out how big the plane of the sun is. Because if we can only go 100 kilometres up, we can only go 100 kilometres down in the event we were hit down. Therefore the actual plane of gravity of the sun that grabs the planet can only be 200 kilometres wide. Can only be that way, so that when you are coming up and rotating around, and this is the bad news, being that it's only 200 kilometres wide, that the gravitational force on the planet, even though it takes it 150 years to go from 24 to 8, the gravitational plane of the sun is bang, it's there straight away. There is no let up. That is why wave rock is at 13 degrees here. It is the next degree onward. When we see the layout, albeit you want to say they are natural, you have Ayers rock on this line of longitude, which is 0 in this instance. 12 degrees out is the comet, which is where the comet hit here. It was 12 degrees when it got knocked back to 10 degrees, which is where Unaguni is. Wave rock is at 13 degrees, and it's not at 13 degrees because it's a one-off. It's not 13 degrees because we're working our way to it. It is 13 degrees that way. All the way. From the very moment you lock in, immediately, is what that's saying. And that's what happens because the plane of the sun is only so small. And it just goes bang like that, and your tidal flows are instantaneous. It is not something that we work our way up to. And what you see at 13 degrees with wave rock is because, like I said in the other video that I put up this morning, it is the most massive ocean where we are seeing our tides get dragged out and gradually, when I say not gradually, they'll come back in just like wave rock. But they are driven by the sun, so it's going to bring the water back around the planet towards us. I would suspect that America on the other side of the Pacific would possibly get very, very similar, if not more more bigger waves, as their ocean will get dragged away for quite a lot more of ocean, and then drop off the as the sun sets and the water lets go eventually when it hits and a lot of it would be when the Australian landmass, if the sun hits the landmass, and it's a mammoth thing, I'm not kidding. So that is what happens here, and that click is instantaneous. It is like we could be sailing along here today and tomorrow, bang. With the cross section of the pyramid again, it's bring this back up. T2 event, which is the smaller comet again. Remember that we are told we are tilted off the axis by this event. First and second impacts, both South America and Central America. That is the one that tilts the axis. This one's the one that drives us down at about 9,000 kilometres an hour. It leaves everything behind. That would unattended without the other comet here, as we've said. This is, out of here, man. That's not coming back. Our planet is in this state now. It's still here, sitting here with a 24-degree axis tilt and a comet, either just one, north or south of any subsequent size. Our planet is just, it's just gone. And that's the lesson we get taught in the way it left. Okay, in the way it left in this one, the way it had to get its plane, the Earth's plane, pulled out of the plane of the sun before that propulsion down could happen from the Mediterranean impact. But what I wanted to say and point out about that in respect to tides is the same thing. It's letting you know with the speed here is, like I said, I've worked this out to scale. It's closer, like, you know, I know my scale's only as good as a drawing, to be quite frank, but it'll be doing exactly as I'm saying. I can assure you, this is built here to tell us exactly all this. When the planet goes down here at about 9,000 kilometres an hour, it would leave water behind. We've gone through all these things before. Today I just wanted to talk about the tides, make it a quick video, and I'm also going to go back and point out a couple of things. So that's the thrust of the planet. It is showing you there that when you see this happen, this meteorite or asteroid is about 200 kilometres wide, or the width of the Mediterranean. There were two, I won't go into that, two comets that did that. But it's like a switch. It's like when you're off and out of key, or out of, you know, cue with the sun's magnetic plane, which we know now is only such a short, you know, a short span of space. It locks onto the very core of the planet, you know. It only be a 200 kilometre wide thing. So, which is why I believe the banding that I said that we use with the water around the equator is the reality is you've got to then ponder how much water and how does it lift water off the planet's surface when the Earth is rotating around the Sun in the magnetic plane, which is what I was sitting here thinking about. I know that maybe not everybody sits at home and thinks about those things, but I'm only thinking about them because of where the rocks have sort of pointed me to go and look. I mean, it was a rock, this rock, that made me go and look at the pyramid in the first place, only because I realised one of those lines is this imaginary line from Easter Island to the pyramids, and I recognised it as that, and that's what sent me on this journey. So it's been a wondrous 6 months. It's had its moments of you know, realisation of what we are seeing going to happen is really quite frightening. I've got Google Earth up now. I know it's a bit glary in here, but I want to have this like this to explain to you. So we've now worked out without doubt and quite logically that our band of the Sun's gravitational force is only 200 kilometres wide, and that's wide, and when I say wide, it's that thick. If we're transitioning into it, it is 200 kilometres thick. It is wide in respect to how it hits the planet in this respect. Okay, so I'll say wide. Okay, so when I say wide, I'm talking about the band of gravity of the Sun that controls our tides is a band that is 200 kilometres wide. It is thick in relation to the Sun, but wide in relation to the Earth. So I'm talking about a band, and I will talk width in respect to the Earth. And my stick will be the band. Now when we rotate, as we do with Google Earth, if I grab the planet and move it like this, it will rotate. And even on Google Earth, right, if I go like this, the point of rotation is even in this imaginary realm here, is the point or core of the planet, which is in actual fact what's grabbed. That is actually what makes it so bang. It's because the very core of the planet gets grabbed, because the plane is only 200 kilometres wide. Because the very core of the planet gets grabbed, that's why the tidal switch is just like a switch like T2. When it gets propelled down the planet, it's a switch driven by the magnetic fields that our planet body acts like when it's in the magnetic field of the Sun. And this is, like I said, this has been a learning experience, one I never expected to get from a couple of rocks, I can tell you. I guess I've just got an inquisitive sort of person that when I see a light flash, there are people in life that will see a light flash and it will scare them and they'll run away. There are people that will see a light flash and look and wait to see what that light does. There are people that will see a light flash and think, I might get up and go and have a look at that. I'm probably that last person. When this happens, and the earth or the sun is rotating, so we'll just leave it like this, right? So we'll move the earth a little bit this way. And what we'll do is now assess the movement of the water, with the plane being here, or the plane of the sun being there. So then when we get to this point, it is a 200 kilometre wide band of water that is getting lifted up off the Earth's surface, with the point of, it would be variable this way, like I said, there's the curvature of the Earth as well, but the band of lift of water is only that much. It only bands, it's a 200 kilometre band. I'm not a physicist, I'm merely saying that that is obvious. It does not need a physics degree or anything to understand what's happening. If it's only 200 kilometres wide, it can only lift 200 kilometres of water in the band that it's on. What and how much is probably somebody, a hydrologist, might be able to tell you that, but I'm saying that even some of the science behind this theory that resolves a problem is in actual fact the case. So with a tilted globe, say we've got the device I said already in my video yesterday, part 2. The device we have is around the equator. It is a harmonic device that grabs hold of a 100 kilometre wide band of molecules of water, has them sitting across the equator through a pipe. There is no swell, there are no waves. I have a feeling that this process, I have a feeling they may do it. I'll jump into that at the end of the video. That's what it does. It's a 100 kilometre wide band of water run off a pipe through the ocean around the equator, and what it does is stop those waves happening. And the way it does it is, in actual fact, it just grabs the water. So when the sun comes along here and tries to lift the water up here, so we get to this ocean, we've got this clamped in here, right, and our ocean's connected. So in actual fact, when it tries to lift, it can't lift the water because what's happening here, where it actually has got the thing that's been built, that the molecules of water do not permit the ocean to move, because this has a far greater, well, it's like fudging the system. It makes the Earth think it's got a greater gravitational pull, and therefore the sun's beam, or the sun's rays, or the magnetic force of the sun in its band cannot pull the water up. It goes to try to do it, but it can't. So that's the concept. Like I said, whether we've got the technical skills, the high tech, I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that the 17 I spoke of, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that already, the 17 that come up on the rock is in actual fact half of a degree. A degree, as we've said in the videos, 33.3 years for each degree we step towards the plane of the sun. 17 come out on the rock, and it could be 17 years. I've shown you the other reason why I thought it was months. I think the one thing I will have to do is put that rock under the microscope, and as pathetically stupid as that sounds, I'm telling you things here I didn't even have any concept of thinking about 8 months ago, but for finding a rock, I do feel a bit stupid. And that I've been walking around with my own head in my backside, having had some things in my possession for many years and not knowing their importance. Because that Tin Tan rock I've had for 5 years, so it has been a little bit upsetting to find out that I've had something that was very, very, very important. And like I said, I've had, it would appear, my head in my own backside as well. it's good that he got pulled out, and we got to learn what we have learnt, because I've learned a heap, I can tell you now, and I'm trying to show you what I'm learning because I'm absolutely certain what I'm saying is 100% correct. I just wanted to bring us back to a still picture here just for a second. It is that Tin Tam rock again, and if you watch the video I just uploaded, the part 2 of this series, I show you a video at the end and say, oh well, look, I got a couple of extra lines, and I thought I went and had an investigation to see what was there because I recognised some extra bits around the rock. I thought I'd just go back to the very start, the very first time I took a photo in that location, and it had Roman numerals for with a dot there and a dot there, South America here, and the bigger, like I said, the bigger comet or asteroid hitting here, the smaller one hitting here, because that's Central America, so that's right on the line here. But the reason I wanted to show you that is I'll show you the next image, and you watch the lines that I said to you I saw additional lines, and that's why, like I said, there's been times where I've almost walked away from doing this because nobody's saying anything, and sometimes you just think, really, Brian, I've got other things I could be doing, but I get either directed back one way or another, and I am an inquisitive sort of person, so when I see a line come up, and these are these lines here, you can see they're not there in those other pictures. That's one picture there. You can see this one here coming up out of there. It looks like there's been a crack in South America here. It's cracked across here where it wasn't. That's what drew my attention, not just 17. It wasn't just the fact that 4 had turned into 17. It had been because of these other marks. See, and the brightness indicator here. The brightness indicator isn't on the bottom of South America there, but it is now. Okay, and we've here got tilt lines, highlighters on this one being the big one that hit down here, the highlighter that was the big one that was down here. We now see the tilt line isn't there. We've got these extra bits up here. You can see it wasn't just one thing. Sorry, once again that was a blowout. That just blew me away finding that image. That was where I was having trouble trying to find where the comets hit in the one after Central America went. And this is the rock image that showed me the creation of the Mediterranean with 2 comets. Information on these rocks are unbelievable. I cannot believe I have the story and the history of our planet. Certainly not on all of them written like this, but you'd be surprised on how many are written just like this. But this one just seems to have put marks and done things, and I followed these marks, and as stupid as it sounds, that's what's happened. So I'm glad I got back on the wagon here, so to speak, and kicked along the ball, along this road of discovery. It's been rather mind-blowing. There is one more thing I wanted to show you that was in the end of the video that I put up yesterday, and bring your attention to just a couple of the marks. And this is having discussed with you the pipe system that the Earth is required to go around the equator, and that I also said we would need one running north to south. Now I based that at that point in time, when I came up with that understanding of why, what it was and how it was going to work. Sitting here, like I said, instead of watching the footy, I just, for some reason I started to think about why is it, how much water does it lift, you know, when I understood how wide the plane of the sun was, like I said, you can understand in its width can be its control as much as its destruction. So, like I said, I don't know if we've got the technology all the time. It is obvious I'm going to come back and make another video in at least a month's time, because the 17 is still on that rock as of yesterday, and that 17 has been that number for a while. And I did also want to make that attention that 17 is also thereabouts half of 34 degrees, or thereabouts is what each, 34 years I should say, is each degree of that 6,000 year rotation that brings us up to the plane of the sun. And we're back on the rock again, and these are the white lines that I said I saw, right? There's two coming out there. Once you start getting the light from the side, and then when you start moving the light around, you then see the things that start to come out. Now I'm going to actually point out here what I see, and like I said, you can see I'm at the same part of the rock, because there's South America here, and the highlighter that wasn't there in the original part, that is, and that was one of the things that made me come and have another look. There was also additional white bits here that I hadn't noticed before. This white bit was here, but that was part of the big circle, and then there was another little circle there, so it looked like things had come out here that I hadn't seen, and there were some other marks here. I'm going to get you to concentrate on this mark here first, right, because I said to you what we need to do is cross the ocean, based on the fact that, I know this sounds pathetically stupid, but it is the same rock that just gave us a round circle and a half circle, and I suggested to you that what we are seeing there is the requirement of a placement of a cross across the ocean, and we are seeing not the very same message here, the very same message as I've just said, right there. It's got a cross underneath this thing that's flying along doing its thing down here. Underneath the cross, I said to you, what happens? What happens when you do this is that it flattens the ocean. What have you got here? A dead straight line, and that's why I said to you, it needs to be put in place. And what it does is deaden the sea, and that's how it does it. It actually, I'm not so sure what the tidal movements are once it's in place. That I'm not, like I said, I'm not a hydrologist or astrologist or, you know, physicist. I'm merely looking at rocks here, and I'm a computer engineer by trade, but I did my trade at Bell and Howell actually as a audio-visual technician. That's how I came up into the fields of tube, and both tube technology and the technologies that came in after tube technologies. We came into solid state, and I sort of come through the whole lot of that. It was an interesting thing to get into. So what we're seeing here when we see these white lines come out, they are not white lines. I'll kick this off and I'll show you what you see. But what happens here, you see this actually gets highlighted as being a cross. Later on it turns to be something else. As I move the light further around here, you'll see that they're vapor trails from these two UFOs that have just flown out of South America. This is what you're seeing here, a vapor trail, and you can see the UFO at the end of it here. It's an amazing thing when you get the light right. And on this side here, you're seeing the cross here. Needs to be put in place to get the oceans flat, so we don't get killed by these waves. Down here, when I get the light right here, I start to see the blue and red and purple colour come out on those two dots. Generally colour, when you start to get the dots out like that and they generate those dots, see what you're seeing here? Look, you're seeing the bloody platform here. See what they're doing? It is an amazing thing, and then you'll see planets come out in the background here. Some of the imagery, honestly, I've sat here at times and I have been blown away. Over on this side, like I said, you might see, it's way too small for you to see that, I realise, but I'm just showing you that and even this screen, even on this PC, isn't the best compared to my desktop, but I can't sit in my office area where it's just like a too small of an area. So you can see what I'm talking about here. Look, see this here, look. See, they're actually like UFOs parked on top of a platform. You don't see it probably as clear as I can see it. At the end, close towards the end of the video, I just want to show you one thing, that where the cross is, turns into more like give you an idea. I'll just go back there and stop that there and show you what I mean. Now if I stop there, that's where you can see the cross, but then it'll turn back into what looks more like 3 comets, which is in actual fact the people I would suspect left the message here are the ones that, there we go there, it sort of turns into three comets more than it does a cross. And like I said, you do see these twinkling bits, and it might sound stupid, but I've actually had this with the microscope and very, very good, where you get these light points where they change colour. And I've put these, you know, those symbols up before. You cannot, like I said, you cannot see this. If you get a $1,000 microscope, I've got one. You're wasting your time. You have not got the depth of field required in your photography. Look at that, see that? It's amazing. Just changes there right at the end, just to show you that it's 3 comets. And I just sat back when that happened, and I was just blown away. I want to show you one other thing before we finish up. Now I just wanted to bring this still image up for just a minute. It's not brilliant in that you can't really see, there's other areas in this where I get, and it's a still image out of the video that I put up at the end of the first of the civilization destruction videos. It was part 1, and I put this up at the end of it. And what I wanted to come back about this was to come back and talk to you about what I actually was seeing in this, because I just put this on here and thought, well, I'll just let you watch that, and you see a volcano, sort of an image come up here, and when I'm moving this around it looks like it's a city, and all these buildings come up in here as I'm going through here, but it wasn't what I actually wanted to bring up. What the important fact is see, like I said, you even get the tail of the comet reflected in the water down here, and they've thought to put this one in here reflecting, whereas this one didn't reflect because of the mountain peak putting a shadow on the lake to cover this is what I mean. It's an amazing, absolutely amazing imagery, and to think you're getting this because you're getting told where to put, you know, where to shine your light from. You know, it's it really is an amazing thing. But what I wanted to bring to your attention is that we've got civilization here, and it's living near the water. Okay, and that is a very, very important fact when you realise the following thing, because I just wanted to show you that from an image point of view, they are creating the imagery that backs up this story. We'll look at this image and we'll discuss what I've just said. There was a civilization, we are told, as does the earth itself, show the point of 2 comets that are the purpose and reason for the tilt of the axis. If then the inevitability of the tides and the natural cycle of the planet has been shown on the parchment, had been 12,000 years prior to this event, we are shown as having people, as we saw in the imagery, even in their own imagery on the rock, 2 comets coming in, a civilization living near the water. The axis was straight for 12,000 years. It must have had a structure, and that is where our myth of Atlantis comes from. It is not a myth, it was a necessity of having a straight axis. At the time that these comets were delivered, obviously the structure would have to have been removed and certainly made not functional. So I would expect that our myth of Atlantis, not necessarily in this design, but I have seen others that are mostly like this, and also mostly result in a crisscross pattern like this across the structure itself when I've seen it drawn mythically. So maybe people know far more in that respect as well. Look, I would expect to be that if the case is, it's going to be built to stop, which is, there is not a lot of alternatives here. There's one alternative, we've seen that. Mr. Prime Minister, it is on your doorstep at Cronulla. I'm 20 kilometres inland here, sir, but it would be on my doorstep in a very, very short amount of time with waves like that on an everyday basis. There will be not 1 acre of farmland to grow anything on the entire east coast of Australia. That would be the outcome. This outcome looks better to me, and the people that come to do this would appear to me to be exactly what we need to have happen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end it there, finish up my video. I've said what I believe is the case. I also believe at a microscopic level, you've seen the marks just come and go again, and then what do? I get a couple of marks extra and think I'll go have a look at what I've got. I've got them sitting there building the bloody thing with a crisscross pattern underneath the bloody UFO. So it is an amazing thing for me to be here. I will come back in a month. I will put the rock under the microscope, and then we'll know whether we've at least got 17 months or 17 years. Knowing the fact that we divide 33, it's pretty close to 17. Maybe we've got 17 years, but I know the people that made the rocks could probably build this overnight. That could be the reality too. There would be a situation, one other thing before I do go, is that we may have a thought process where we may wish to initiate an investigation as to whether or not we can control water to the point that, well, whack a pipe across the top of a swimming pool and being able to rotate the swimming pool without dropping 1 drop of water would be a pretty good test. But having said that, we are working in a realm there we would need to be very, very careful when we are shown the movement of the planet in the T2 event is very, very, very speedy, and working in an area we don't know about could bring peril very, very quickly, and our planet could be gone and we would all be left in space. We don't probably want to do that either, so maybe probably leave it to the experts. We may not be getting a choice, and the people that control it may not be human, and that is a high level of that likelihood, to be honest, especially in this realm of our world at the moment. But then I look at this, like I said, and I look at the people that come possibly to do this to the planet. I hope that is the case, because I hope they see that there's enough good people on the planet worthy of being saved. And I think the past, if our leadership is covering such things, because I have, like I said, as wondrous as all this stuff may seem, there are many people on the planet know a lot of what I'm saying is exactly that. It's truth, and they know it. They just don't want you to know it. I'm going to finish up with that. I would certainly think this is a far better option than the alternative, Mr. Morrison. So we need to talk to people, sir. If in actual fact what I'm saying, I'm asking you to go and put these videos into the hands of people and understand planetary motion, and you will understand with my understanding of the structure left here in the cerebellum, that movement upwards will be correct. The grasp of the planet core will be correct, and therefore thus the effect on the ocean being immediate will be correct. And that's really, really bad news, and this is the alternative. And I'm going for this one being the alternative, and I trust the rocks in their billions be reflective of the people that have left the message in the way they have, that their intent is good, and to have anybody else on the planet have any other understanding that that is the case would be absolutely detrimental to somebody. Probably the people doing it. Anyway, I'll leave you with that thought. My name's Brian Whitten. I will come back in a month. This is ET Art. We will put one more video up. We will check to see if our 17 is there, to see if it is months or years, and really sit back and ponder what our Earth will be like, or could be like, in both realms, because really quite one of them is absolutely frightening to every sense of what we could possibly imagine, with waves like I started out this video with on our doorstep each and every morning in the East Coast, and that would be a global issue. Certainly Pacific would be the worst, and I would expect actually the West Coast of just understanding how the water is going to get pulled away. It gets pulled away by, you know, sunset over there. From the sun of midday, starts get lifted, pulled in, and then at the end when it lets go, America would cop it big time. Their West Coast, huge, even bigger than what we would have, I would expect. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the video, and like I said, this is Brian Whitten and ETR. Have a nice day, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but with always bad news there are solutions, and some of them can be unexpected solutions, just like the first image I ever pulled off a rock. I am not kidding. I have seen the most wondrous things under a microscope, and the history of my planet, as I have found, in a place I never thought possible. So that is how I'll finish the video. So thanks very much. This is Brian Whitten and ETR. Have a nice day. I'll see you later. Bye.